All right, this week on AIS podcast, we have Matthew Pizano.
Hello.
Matthew is a project manager here at KHB Construction. And today we're going to talk about a little bit of his background, some differences in multifamily, large-scale commercial projects to residential projects, and just kind of talk about construction. So, Matthew.
Ryan.
Great having you.
Thank you.
Give us a little bit about your background, how you came to be into KHB, and education, previous work, all that good stuff.
So my background in construction is kind of being born into the industry. My father was a business owner himself. He owned a exterior siding company, and I've worked for him. My dad owned his business for 30 years before he retired. It's funny because my dad never wanted me in this industry, but as a kid, I remember my dad used to take me to all the job sites when I was 5, 4, traveling with him. We used to be in the Great Alls, driving on the job sites. It was a lot of fun, different times back then than it is now.
Yeah.
But when I finished college, being raised around this industry, I realized that I wanted to stick with it. And
what did you graduate with in college?
I have a business administration with a concentration in general business because I, like most kids, didn't know exactly where to go with a college degree. But for me, I knew I wanted to always be involved in a business. So I figured, how could I best set myself up to learn multiple different things about running a company, and how could I be most prepared in case I wanted to one day try to run my dad's company? How can I benefit myself working somewhere else? So I was trying to give myself a broad general background because here in California, be honest, there's only 2 schools that have a general construction degree, which is either Cal Poly or Chico, which were far and budgets are expensive. So it was just not an option for me at the time. But luckily, as it goes with this industry, my father being such a hardworking man and being in the career for such a long time, he made connections. And when I graduated college, I got an opportunity from one of my dad's friends who was willing to take me on as a young apprentice. And with that opportunity, it led me into my commercial world, which I got an opportunity to build condo projects, which a lot of fun, a lot of strategy, mental building, preparation goes into these. My project, I came into this right when they finished pouring. It was a 6-story building, 1-story underground parking garage, 5 stories tall. 4 stories of it was concrete, and the last 2 were wood frame. But that project took 2 years to do from the time I became a part of it. And you talk about the difference between talking with owners compared to customers. I only had to communicate to, within my company, my bosses. But when we communicated to owners, it was the owner of the building, not
a tenant.
Not the tenants, yes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot simpler sometimes because when you're dealing with the commercial aspect and dealing with an owner of the building, their heads are more wrapped around the business aspect, the time frame. Time frame's key on everything, just like any project. But you get someone who understands some of the delays with weather, material shortage / not showing up due to a lot of things, actually. Traffic on the freeway, just accidents. There's many different things that can happen that are unforeseeable, but it's being prepared of in the situation. How do you always keep the project moving forward?
Yeah.
And it was a great experience with that company because I did the project the condo project was in Burlingame. As I said, I was there for 2 years. Helped finish a project in San Mateo. That was another really interesting project. It was a 4-story again, all above ground. First floor was a parking garage slash stores, retail stores. Second floor was all office buildings, but third and fourth floor were apartments. And what was really cool, I got to help. It was more of my filler project before my next project came available in Fremont, which was a private school we built. But my superintendent, you learn from everyone's mistake. You always got to learn from someone's mistake, and how can you learn and become better? On that third floor for the tenants, there was a big lounge area that it was built in this design, but this third floor think of it as like a pool, because you have to waterproof, pour your concrete in, there's a drainage system, all that. Well, whenever you're dealing with water and how do you make sure something's watertight, it's always a smart idea to fill it up, treat it like a pool, test it, just like you do on our residential projects with the shower pan. We test it for 24 hours to make sure the water holds. And with these big projects and time constraints and all that, you get the pressures that you feel from your owners, your customers, that you need to move this project along. But come to find out, there was a hidden leak, and it took time of us actually having to fill this thing full of water, trying to best guesstimate of where it was. We eventually found it, but it cost us 3 days in scheduled time of exploration work. So you always have to make sure if there is a cause for a potential delay, you speak, you vocalize yourself to your owners, because if your owner cares, they'll stand behind you as well. But then after, I think, a few month and a half I was there, I didn't really have to help there too much. This was my first project that we did from ground up. And it was a lot of a time constraint because it was for a private school. It took them 2 years through the city to get the lot. Then, because it's a private school, we didn't realize this was on our term of contract at the time, but if the school didn't open on the year we had to build it, the school lost its accreditation. And on our contract, it said if the school wasn't built in time, we had to pay for the school's fees for the next 2 years. So it was a time crunch project. We had 12 months to do it. We did it in 9. So nice. It was to do something in that time and success. It's your strategy, your project schedule, communication, keeping all your subs in communication, knowing time frames, giving people phone calls, making sure they're ready to come in when it's their time to do the job, as well as being ready for your city inspections. I know I haven't talked about that yet, but city in the Bay Area with these bigger industrialized areas are a lot more thorough than what you would on a small residential project. So, but come to find out the difference between our commercial project inspections versus residential, it's caters to the area, location, fire ratings, all that, because I remember one of my biggest little goofs that I came here working at KHB on the residential side. I was so accustomed doing 5/8 rock everywhere. And on my first project I did here, I bought 5/8 rock, brought it to the job site thinking that this is just my standard product, when here in the residential valley here on these projects, it's 1/2-inch rocks on your exterior walls, 5/8 on your roof. So it was a bit of having to realize the difference between my industries.
Yeah.
But
a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
So how long were you in that world, that commercial world?
I was just under 5 years. It was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy what I did. Nothing against the company I worked for. They just, like it happens to most companies, they made a decision to bring on partners, and my head boss at the time, his father got ill, so he took a little sabbatical from the company, let his partners run it, and they lost some projects. And unfortunately, I was still at the bottom of the totem pole. Layoffs happened, and it was time to venture forward and just continue learning. So after that, I went back and worked for my father again, doing siding. We were working all the way in the Bay Area, from Los Gatos, San Jose, Oakland, Fremont, Hercules. The Bay was ours. So traveling, and with the experience and the knowledge I was able to bring on there, I was a full-fledged foreman for my dad, in the sense of I had to know all of our different projects, understand our plans, the finished look, the waterproofing, everything that relates to exterior siding. And I ran and managed our crews, which it was fun. I definitely enjoyed siding, but it is more of a simplistic trade, and I lost in my thrill of the challenge of the job. I like the challenge aspect of being well, mainly challenged in my job. If it gets too simplistic, you get bored. What I enjoyed from what I did was I like to see a project from start to finish. It was being a subcontractor in this industry. You come, you do your part, you leave. Then this hits my first residential company. I worked for KHB Construction after my dad. I got another opportunity from working with my dad, all these different projects. I met a gentleman who realized that I had more experience to the knowledge that I would talk to him, because what I would do for my father before we'd even send crews out was my job responsibility to go out, walk the exterior frame, making sure frame was ready for us, checking gables, eaves, making sure they're level, because we do prep work, or unless our contract we were paid to fix framers.
If you got a problem, I'm sure you're scabbing stuff together to get you some backing.
Exactly. I have seen eaves that are supposed to be straight across flat that have from midpoint to your edge, 1.5 inches out of floating we have to do. It's some incredible craftsmanship there. But so this one gentleman, Nate was his name, he was at this company called Sun Lake, big, huge company. They did residential multi-town homes. They had an opportunity. He needed an assistant, so we talked and they brought me on. And actually, that was for Dimete. I apologize. So when I got hired by Dimete, they just landed a contract for Stanford. And I got assigned to that division. So that's where I took on the responsibility of building custom homes for Stanford professors. Cool in that aspect, because it's Stanford. But I was building homes in Palo Alto, and you learn about the Bay, about different people, the atmosphere you're working in, and people over there are very by the rule book. Kind of when you work over here in Modesto and all that, people tend to keep to themselves, not poke their nose in people's business. But over in the Bay Area, I've learned that everyone has to be in everyone's business. So you've got to make sure you keep your job sites clean. You're starting at 7:00, not 6:59. One of the things I learned about the town regulations, we got yelled at by our neighbor for the fact that I had to remove some trees. So we brought in a arborist that got rid of these oak trees, but his guys used a gas leaf blower and
straight to jail.
Yeah, straight to jail. did not realize Palo Alto is a no gas power.
There's no small engines.
Yes.
Yeah.
And which I hear that's actually working its way here to the Valley here soon, which everyone can have their own input on that. But I don't see how they're going to make us get rid of all of our gas appliances or not appliances, equipment here. It just, it doesn't make sense to me.
It does not make any sense. So you go from commercial, multifamily, large projects, 2-year timelines down to 6-week custom kitchens.
Yeah.
So what translated from that world to what we're doing now, and what are the sort of kind of nuances of really customer experience, customer management in residential world compared to the commercial world?
So one of the big things as far as customer interaction with us dealing now with a person's home, and the key by saying someone's home means that 8 out of 10 of our jobs, our customers live there. Mm-hmm. They see the job, they see everything happening. They have a lot of questions, and they are asking us what we sometimes might consider nuisance questions, but they're not educated in what we're doing. And a lot of people find it interesting because it's something new. Hey, you just ripped the drywall off my walls, and I'm seeing all the plumbing, electrical installation on the wall, most things that the average person wouldn't think about because they're just not their day to day. For us, it's just another day in our line of work. So the communication aspect there, it's taught me to be a little more on the ball to make sure I'm always reaching out to our customers when they reach out to me with their questions, because I guess like an excited little kid, when they're reaching out to us, they're expecting an answer as well. So if you were to leave someone waiting for about 2 to 3 days, they get impatient to where when I was in my commercial world, I had only talked to the owner, 2 to 3 times a month. You don't really deal with them until your finishing stages of the project, because that's when everyone's getting ready, because at that point they're more about the money. They want to start getting these condo units sold, mm-hmm. getting tenants in, because now it's for them bringing in more revenue for their money, to where residential, it's their home. That's been one of the biggest key difference. The same way as far as I've talked about schedule and having your strategy, your game plan for these projects, still key, still the same. More prepared you are for a project, you can be prepared. It allows you to be ready for your project as far as giving you a game plan. We're going to do demo, frame, MEPs, insulation, drywall, painting, and then all your finishes from there. So it helps you every day. When my employees go to the job site, they have a game plan of what they're ready for. And then if you do, as time comes along with this industry, we know if we're working in a bathroom, an old bathroom at home in the 50s, waterproofing wasn't as advanced as it was back then. So with time and experience, we can be prepared for, there might have been dry rot issue in the subfloor exterior wall. And because of our being prepared for these situations, they're not delaying us. We can most of the time just still get everything busted out, and that same day that we plan to do just demo or simple frame, shower curb niche, seat in the shower for some customers. But it's not a lot of the times where we get delayed. Where I'm most excited for our company is starting that full home in Sacramento with our customer. If everything goes through, I know we're like 90% of the way there, so that will be a big first for us.
Yeah, finalizing selections, and it's essentially a custom home build.
Yep.
Essentially, yeah. So, I think we're leaving 2 walls up. Yeah, it's a remodel still.
It's a historical remodel at this point.
Yeah. That's how the city's seeing it.
So it will be fun. It'll kind of bring me a little bit back to my roots right there. So it'll be a fun one.
Cool. Well, Matt, thank you.
Thank you,
for
Ryan.
coming on,
Yeah.
sharing your story. I appreciate you. I know we all appreciate you here and what you do. So that will do it for this week.
Toodles.
Adios.